A Shaki man of repute, our guest today commenced his journey into politics at a very young age, setting the bar for young people in politics. He is a lawyer who has served as Attorney General in his home state and currently is determined to improve the lot of Nigerians through ICT. You meet our guest after this break. This is the Sunday Interview. I'm Jokeli Jado. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Our guest today is a lawyer, one-time member of the Oyo State House of Assembly, one-time Attorney General and Oyo State Commissioner for Justice, now Minister for Communications, Abdurrahim Adebayo Shittu. You're welcome to the program.
Thank you. It's my pleasure of being your guest.
So let me start like this. Who is Adebayo Shittu?
Adebayo Shittu is the village boy from Shaki in Okyogun area of Oyo State. I attended Baptist High School, Shaki, where I made, grade 1 as the only candidate in 1973 in the whole of Okyogun, which now constitutes 10 local governments. From there, I taught briefly at my alma mater, Baptist High School, because I had very, fantastic results. Thereafter, I was admitted at OAU, Oba Awon University.
Oba Awon University, I agree with you. I agree.
I left the university with a degree in law and proceeded to the Nigerian Law School for my call to bar. One significant thing that happened while I was at the University of Ife is that I had a chance meeting with the late sage of Nigerian politics, Chief Obafemi Awolowo, while I was still in the university. And he inspired me to come into politics, and I became the only student and youth member of the then Committee of Friends, which became Unity Party of Nigeria.
UPN. Under
the platform of UPN, I contested election and became a member of the then Oyo State House of Assembly at age 26. By age 30, I was already Oyo State, the bigger Oyo State, of course, Oyo State Commissioner for Home Affairs, Information and Culture. Thereafter, I also became Attorney General under Senator Rashidi Ladoja's government. I have twice contested or attempted to contest for the governorship of Oyo State. By the grace of God, today I am Minister of Communications of Nigeria, and by the grace of God, I'm also aspiring to succeed the current governor of Oyo State.
So let's go back to growing up. What was growing up like for you? Where did you grow up? How did you grow up?
Well, let me say that for the first 60 years of my life, I was in Ghana. So I attended both primary and middle school, 4-year middle school in Ghana, in a very small village in Ghana. The important thing to say, and this is not kidding, is that my parents were not educated or enlightened enough to register me in school. I, even at that age of 6, took myself to primary school. It's a long history, but we thank God that it has happened. Secondly, before I went to secondary school, that was when there was a Ghana aliens quit order which drove out all aliens from Ghana in 1969. There was no hope of my going to secondary school. Initially, I wanted to learn printing. And the only master printer in Shaki then asked me to go and bring £10. for me to be trained to become a printer. There was no way of getting £10 in 1970. So I decided I was going to join Ebenezer Obey music group, because I have always enjoyed the music of Chief Ebenezer Obey. So I wanted to go. I was waiting for £1 to transport myself from Shaki to come and meet Ebenezer Obey in Lagos when, Providence struck, and which made me to have the opportunity of going to secondary school via a 1-year scholarship, which was provided then by the Western State government, as it were.
All right, now, let me ask you, growing up, did you have any kind of funny nicknames that, your friends used to call you?
Yes, I was called Alaska.
Really? Why is that?
Well, I loved geography. I loved geography, particularly while I was in secondary school. And North African, geography was one of the subjects which excited me. And the name Alaska easily, struck me, and that was what I was called.
So away from your law practice and your job as minister, how do you relax?
Honestly, I relax by reading Islamic books. That's also one very critical aspect of me. It is instructive to say that while I was in middle school in Ghana is a Christian society, but they were fair enough to also provide Islamic books for students. There were no Christian teachers. There were no Muslim teachers in our school then, but there were books on Islam. So I had the uncommon privilege to be the one who would stand before Muslim students during religious studies class in my school and read the book. I remember the title of the book is The Story of Muhammad. I was the one who would stand before the class of Muslim students, read and explain what was meant.
So you became scholarly at a very young age.
Even at that stage, I was a kind of pseudo scholar because I was perhaps the best.
Also, seeing that at some point in your life you said you wanted to join the Ebenezer Obey's band. Do you enjoy music now?
Of course, I still enjoy Ebenezer Obey's music till tomorrow. And I know that, but for that opportunity to go to secondary school, I perhaps would have been a musician of the Ebenezer Obey hero. All
right. So do you like movies?
I don't like movies. I don't have time for movies.
How about sports? Do you play any competition?
Well, I used to be interested in lawn tennis. But public life has, denied me the opportunity to do sports properly, so speaking.
But do you watch?
Well, I love boxing to watch.
Okay.
And some football.
So what will your best food be? That food that gets you excited at all times?
Dodo anewa.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Not even amala.
Well, interestingly, my family name in Shaki is Ile Arowojeka. So amala really is the natural food of my family.
Good food, yeah.
But amala is not quick to prepare. On the streets you can, you walk into a restaurant and get rice and beans, within a minute or two you are finished and you move on.
All right, let me ask you who your role models have. People that you would say, have inspired you to be who you are today. I
must say very seriously that the number one inspirer is Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. On mundane issues, Chief Obafemi is my role model. I try to, live the type of, life he has lived, incorruptible, very, very focused on social welfare issues. This concept of life more abundant is what I believe in. And anytime I have an opportunity to be governor, I will try to replicate his life. The second person who inspires me is my current leader, Muhammad Buhari. I am amazed that for once we have a leader in Nigeria who is so non-materialistic, who does not have the usual human greed in him, who lives a very, very simple life, who even in his outings as president of all of Nigeria, he reflects and symbolizes modesty, humility, and humanness. I mean, I feel excited and I pray that Nigerians would appreciate what God has done for us in giving him to us as a leader.
What would you say has given you the greatest satisfaction in life?
Well, I have always been in struggle. I've always been, aspiring to be the best that I can. And for me, life is a continual struggle. I continue to find myself always in struggle. I wish that I was not a politician so that I could have been having a lot of time to rest and to play with my children and so on and so forth. I remember about a year ago, one of my, daughters, who was just 10, asked whether I wanted to contest for the governorship. And I said yes. He said, after 4 years, would I still want to contest? I said yes. And she asked me, would I have time for them then?
Wow.
So what is recurring in my life is constant struggle, and it looks like I don't have an escape, away from it.
So what represents your greatest fear?
Honestly, I'm a very courageous person. And I tell people, for instance, that I don't start fights, but I don't run away from any fight. So fear is not part of me.
All right, we'll go on a short break now. When we come back, we'll still be speaking with the Minister for Communications, Barrister Adebayo Shittu. Stay with us. Welcome back. We have been speaking with a lawyer, one-time member of the Oyo State House of Assembly. He is one-time Attorney General and Oyo State Commissioner for Justice. Now, he is Minister for Communications, Barrister Adebayo Shittu. Thanks for staying with us.
It's my pleasure.
So, you got into politics at the age of 26, and at the time you were in the Oyo State House of Assembly. Let me ask you what your experience was like, at the time.
You see, number one, I was the youngest member of the House of Assembly. Number two, I was fresh from the law school or from university, and I had all the beautiful ideas. Number three, that was a time that the other party, the main party, NPN, was very notorious for corruption, just like PDP is now known for corruption. It is as if, PDP is a replica of NPN. And I had all the English, all the big grammar to describe the PDP and the NPN at that time, to accost them and all of that. But I also was sensitive enough not to tolerate indiscipline, corruption, and lawlessness, even within my party. And I recall that we resumed in the office as members of the House of Assembly on the 2nd of October, 1979. On the 8th, that is precisely 1 week after, Chief Bola Agyeman, the then governor, sent to us by correspondence a letter with about 25 names for appointment and ratification as commissioners. Their CVs, respective CVs, were not included. No detail whatsoever was included or attached to the letter. And Mr. Speaker, announced the names. He read the letter and announced the names. And I raised my hands up. And when he called me, I rose up and said, I am surprised that this house that there's an attempt to turn this house into a rubber stamp assembly or an apron string of the executive. We are independent and we are supposed to give consideration to whoever is to be appointed as a commissioner. If therefore a governor is sending in mere lists without CV, without details and all of that, how are we in a position to examine whether each of these people are qualified?
Competent.
We don't know whether they're educated or not. We don't know what they have contributed to society and so on and so forth. And I also said, look, there's also included in the name, the name of Atauja of Oshogbo. Who nominated Atauja of Oshogbo? If it had been that he was believed to have contributed to the success of the UPN, even my Oba Oke of Turkey, had also contributed. So I want to know the process for it. Not. I made a fantastic speech. Of course, it was a thunderbolt. Everybody was surprised. How can this small rat in the house raise this, attacking Bolage, questioning his the veracity of his choice, blah, 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 and within the same party and so on. There was astonishment. And the speaker, in bewilderment, said, as the speaker, I overruled. Those in favor say aye, those in favor say no. Then he beat the gavel and called for an adjournment of the session. That was my first exposure to public life, because the press who were there waiting for an automatic thing came all around me and started asking questions. And by the time I made my presentation, everybody knew that something good to some, something bad to members of the party had befallen the state. And consistently from that day, I kept everybody on his toes, to the extent that at a stage when I asked that certain contracts should be investigated, again, I got shut down, and I got eventually removed or dismissed from the then UPN.
Wow.
But I didn't have any regrets, because I felt that I was representing my constituents, and I felt that I would not be justifying my education and enlightenment and exposure if I behaved only like a follow legislator.
All right. So seeing that, you got the mantle of, leadership at a very young age, what are your thoughts on the present crop of young Nigerians that we have now, and their inability to wrestle power from your generation?
Well, it's not about, there's no competition between the young and the old. I don't see it as such. It is often said that the wisdom of Methuselah has nothing to do, the wisdom of Solomon has nothing to do with the old age of Methuselah. So if the young is wise, certainly you'll be able to compete with those who are there. Like, if you look at a lot of situations, a lot of people want to be in position only by affirmation. They just want people to just feel that because you are young, automatically you are there. In the last 20, 30 years, we have a lot of youths who came into office and messed up. So many governors, by age 40, they were already governors. Before 50, they had already resigned. But what do you have to show about them? Corruption, ineptitude, inefficiency, and so on. So my belief is what the Yoruba adage says. I mowowe like bagbajeo. Bomodiba mowowe abagbajeo.
All right, now let's talk about, your job as Minister for Communications. What are some of the things you're doing, to improve the sector?
Number one, when I came on board, or when I was appointed initially, operators or stakeholders protested at my appointment, because they thought that a lawyer coming into ICT was a misfit, or is likely to be a misfit, and he not having known anything or not being part of ICT was not likely to do well. I am happy that within 1.5 years of my appointment, the umbrella organization of the ICT industry gave me an award of Fellow of the Nigeria Computer Society. I mean, that speaks volumes. The first thing I did, with the background of somebody who is completely new, was to convoke a retreat of industry stakeholders, because before me, there was nothing like an ICT roadmap. So I brought in more than 400, stakeholders, experts from within Nigeria and outside, and from within government and outside, to, Georgia over a period of a week. And they brought out a lot of beautiful ideas, which we synthesized, through various technical committees and formulated into what has now become the ICT Roadmap 2017 to 2020. That roadmap today is the guiding policy document. Of course, it has been approved by the Federal Executive Council. It's the guiding policy document for us, and today it will become, the legacy that we'll be leaving behind to guide the various sectors of the ICT industry. Recall that ICT is not just about telecommunications. It is about the internet, it is about, postal services, it is about satellite communication, it is like about galaxy backbone, and so on. For instance, also, we have a NITDA, which is to the internet what NCC is to telecommunications. So in all of these, we now have, a policy document which does it. And I'm happy that we are making steady progress. I must also emphasize that the business, that we have a philosophy in government, that the government has no business in business. And that is why we are not competing with the GSM companies to also run another GSM company. We are okay with the fact that we are a regulator. We provide the enabling laws, we provide the enabling environment, we do the monitoring and ensure that everybody plays by the rule. Ditto for the internet and for other aspects of the ICT industry. All
right, now you've revealed that you'll be running for governor. And first, let me ask you what your assessment of the present administration in Oyo State is.
I think the governor is doing his best, particularly in the area of infrastructural development. But I want to assure you that the best can always be improved upon. If you look at my background, I'm an Aweis to the core. I met with Chief Ado, dined with him, met several times as collaborated in formulating the policy papers of the then UPN, even as the only student and youth member. And so I'm going to bring all of these experiences on board.
Let me ask you what the Oyo State of your dream is. That Oyo State that,
Oyo State of my dream is one state where education should be free and compulsory. Because as of today, so many people do not have access to education. And there's a very critical problem. Oyo State of my dream is a state where health services must be completely free, such that nobody will be in want of getting the best medical services available. Oyo State of my dream is one state where full employment is available as conceptualized by the late Chief Obafemi. And this is doable. It is not doable only for people who don't have the ideas about how to ensure that full employment will be available. By full employment, it's not meant that everybody will be employed by government, but to encourage and give leadership so that the private sector will be able to accommodate everybody who is employable, particularly through self-employment and through engagement. These are issues that are very, very germane. Oyo State of my dream would also be a state where the private sector would take key role in not only running their businesses, but also running some government services.
As we wind up to a close, I know that in recent times there's been some scandal attached to you with some of your former staff, alleging various things. Would you like to clear the air?
It's so easy. It was politically motivated by my political detractors who have tried to use some of them, particularly one of them, to unleash all sorts of allegations, over which I'm taking them to court. Let me tell you, if somebody, for instance, alleges that I take 800,000 as Esther code. Esther code means what you take when a trip is approved for you. Yeah. It's not possible for me to go overseas on foreign conference without the president having approved. And there are regulations as to how much you can take. So if anybody just comes up with an arbitrary figure, a phantom figure, then there's not more to it. If somebody says, I have 25 cars, when I have only 3, then that something is there. If somebody alleges that I have houses in Lagos, Abuja, and Ibadan, when I don't have any house in Lagos, when I have only one house in Ibadan, then there's something wrong about that. And for all of these allegations, I have responded through interviews, and I'm challenging the maker of that, libelous statements to enable him an opportunity to have his day. in court. I am sure the maker of that statement would have seen the stupidity of that statement and would have seen the baselessness. They thought they would use that to bring me down because I am the forerunner and the frontliner in the agitation to become governor. And they think they can use that. I mean, so as far as I'm concerned, I remain unshaken. My integrity remains intact. And by the grace of God, I will continue to move forward until I become governor, by the grace of God, next year.
All right, lastly, let me ask you one thing that you know about yourself that a lot of people do not know, but you would like to share with them today.
Well, my life really is an open book. A lot of people know, because I don't have secrets. I don't tell lies. I don't behave in mischief. I don't pretend to be what I am not. I like to tell it as it is. So as far as I'm concerned, what I know about myself that most people also know is that I'm a very godly person. I'm a very principled person. I try to be as firm and as courageous as, anything. And besides, I believe absolutely in God, that He is the one who can do it and who does it. And I believe that if God says yes, the combined efforts of all of the world, including human beings and angels, will not defeat the purpose of God. On the other hand, if God says no, if all the parts of the world combine with angels and all of that to say yes, God's no will prevail. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm satisfied with God, I'm satisfied with myself, I'm hopeful that the best is here to come, and I believe, like I always say jokingly to our people, if God loves Oyo State, He will make me governor of Oyo State.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's our chat with the Minister for Communications. Of course, he is a gubernatorial hopeful in Oyo State, Barrister Abdurrahim Adebayo Shittu. Thank you very much for coming on the program. And thank you, viewers, for watching the show. Remember, you can keep up with us by sending your mails to the Sunday interview at tvcnews.tv. We will be waiting to hear from you. Thanks again for watching. I'm Jokeli Jadu. Bye for now. Yes, sir.
I'm finished.
Sorry, we have to just take that again. Well, that's our chat with